Wait, testing, testing.
Are we a bit overexposed over here? Teletubbies! Okay, I am like just not feeling my hair today, but you know what? That's fine. We don't need to feel our hair every day that we live on this earth. Hey guys, what's up? It's Emily. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, please subscribe. Please. No, seriously, like, subscribe. I'm trying to make money over here. The wealth gap is growing, inflation is thriving, and I want another source of income to help a girl out. Today I'm going to be talking about my top 10, and there goes my heat. Today I'm going to be talking about my top 10 favorite thriller books. I guess, I'm sorry, if you could just live with the heat, I'd really appreciate it. I think we can get through this together. My top 10 favorite thriller books. So this year, kind of starting towards the end of January, I got back into reading, and my focus has really just been reading books that I can just get through and breeze through. I think next year I'm going to start reading books that might be a little more dense and might be a little bit more challenging to read, but this year it's been really helpful to just read books that are page turners, super quick, really compelling. I found that, the most kind of page-turning books were obviously like thrillers with big plot twists, where there's just sort of something that you're trying to find out. You're guessing along the way, and sometimes you call it, and sometimes you don't. You're usually surprised there's a twist at the end. These are those books for me. Anytime I find myself in like a reading slump, or I just finished a book I was like Where the Crawdads Sing, then I'll read a thriller. Some of these recommendations are like more obvious, really highly recommended books, or like really popular, really recommended books, but some of them are a little less heard of. So I'm trying to give you like a nice variety of, if you really want to like know what the people are talking about in the thriller genre, you have like the basic ones and then just some other ones to kind of like branch off with. So anyway, yeah, these are my top 10. I only have physical copies of 5 just because I gave the other ones away to my friends. I'm so annoying in this video already. Please keep watching me. So I'm gonna go from least favorite to favorite. So you have to watch to the end to know what my favorite is, and you can't skip ahead. The lowest rating I have on this is 4 out of 5. So they were all books that I really, really did enjoy. And if you're looking to get back into reading, or if you're finding yourself in a reading slump, or you're looking for some good thrillers for the fall, these are highly recommended by Ms. Emily Jane Fonda. The first one is The Golden Couple by Greer Hendricks and Sarah Buchanan. Sarah Buchanan. So I give this one a 4 out of 5. It's about this couple who seem really great from the outside. You find out that the woman cheated on the husband. Yeah, the woman cheats on the husband. I don't know how to describe this without like giving much away. The mystery of the book is that I guess that someone is essentially like stalking her, and you kind of have to figure out who it is. I mean, it was great. It was a really quick read. I probably read it in like 3 days. Yeah, I really don't have much else to say about it. I think it's a great book. It's a great like late fall winter book, I would say. The next one, number 9, is The Maidens by Alex Michaelides. He's this British writer who wrote another one of my favorites, which I'll talk about later. I also gave this one a 4 out of 5. And it's about this woman whose husband died recently, within the past like few years, I think. Her only family, I think, is this niece who is in college, and there are like multiple murders happening at this college, and the woman who the book is about is convinced that it's one of her niece's teachers. And so it's basically hair in my mouth. It's about her. She goes to the college to protect her niece, and it's about her trying to figure out who is committing these crimes. Yeah, 4 out of 5. It definitely has a twist at the end. It was one of the possibilities that I called, I will say. The Golden Couple, back to The Golden Couple for a second, I did not I think I saw it coming towards the end, but it was a nice twist. But yeah, I think the Golden Couple and the Maidens, there were twists at the end, but and they were satisfying twists. Like I was like happy when I finished the books. I was satisfied when I finished the books, but they weren't like the most like mind-blowing absolute twists that I've ever read in my life. But they were still like, okay, cool. That was the journey that I just went on. The next one is Who is Maude Dixon? I actually read this because Madeleine Petch recommended it in one of her like reading shorts or whatever, and she was like, this is the book to get. And when I went to the store and I bought this, the woman that rung me up was like, this is such a good choice. Oh, I read these books so long ago, I like don't even know how to describe them. Yeah, it's about this girl Florence who finds herself stumbling into the role of an assistant of this writer who is Maude Dixon. And she is very anonymous, like she doesn't do interviews or anything, like she lives an anonymous life. And so she goes, this girl Florence applies to be her assistant. She's like the only one who really knows her identity, and she goes to live with her in her like guest house, I think. Yeah, which seems like a perfect arrangement, you know? But then they go on this trip together for like inspiration. Things get unraveled and you find out perhaps who Maude Dixon really is. Maybe it'll give Florence something to write about for herself. Yeah, there's a lot of twists. It's a quick read. I would give it a 4 out of 5. Okay, the next book is Verity. I have not read the new chapter that was just released, but this book is like very, 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 very popular, as is every Colleen Hoover book. Colleen Hoover just has this way of writing that it's so easy to finish her books very quickly. I think I read Verity in like 2 days. I personally gave it a 4 out of 5. I thought it was slow at parts. Yeah, it's about this girl Lowen who applies to be, there's this famous author who got in a car accident and she's trying to finish this book series, but she can't because she can't talk, she can't walk, she can't do anything. And so they need somebody to finish writing the series as a ghostwriter, I guess you would say. And so Lowen goes to live with Verity, the woman, the author, and her family, and it's a psychological thriller because it's like, is Verity actually, can she hear Lowen, can she see Lowen? And then Lowen kind of starts thinking, is Verity totally fine? Is she trying to kill me? Like it's a very psychological thriller, and it goes back and forth between Lowen and her kind of reality living in the house, and then the manuscript that she's going through to do research, I guess you could say, to finish writing the series. The manuscript and the present day life kind of come together, and the ending is, I think it's satisfying, but I do think that there's going to be a sequel. So yeah, I would give it a 4 out of 5. If you haven't read Verity and you're looking for like a page turner to kind of get you back into reading, I would 100% recommend it. Next we have The Last Mrs. Parrish, which is a book I finished recently by Liv Constantine. I'd also give this one a 4 out of 5. It starts from the perspective of this girl. She's like a con artist and she wants to marry this super, super rich guy, and so her master plan is to lie about all these things and get really close to his wife and then kind of get at them from the inside out, and then she could be like the next Mrs. Parrish, essentially. I will say the first half of this book from her perspective was like, I don't know, I find stories told from the perspective of the antagonist aren't as gripping just because, or like psychologically thrilling, because you're not really like scared of anything because you're on the scary person's side. But then the second half of the book goes into the wife's perspective, and that's when it starts to get really good. And the ending is, I don't want to say really anything actually, but I read it. It's great. I would say just if you can get through kind of the first half, and I mean it's well written. Like the first half is well written and it is compelling, but like the second half is when that's when I really started to get into it and like couldn't put it down. Major trigger warning for domestic violence and assault. It was a lot in some places, so if that's something that you can't do or read, or I don't recommend reading this. But yeah, otherwise it was great. 4 out of 5. The only reason I give it a 4 out of 5 is just because I think the first half could have been shortened, personally, in some way. But just my opinion. Opinions are like belly buttons. Everybody has one. That's what my drama teacher told me when the Basic Awards didn't like me. Flicker in the Dark! This one I also just recently finished. This is by Stacey Willingham, and I gave it a 4 out of 5. And I gave it a 4 out of 5 because it felt predictable for like most of it, and then I wasn't like super surprised, to be honest, by anything that happened in this. I felt like there were like a few possibilities. I definitely predicted everything, but just not necessarily like in the order or context that it all happened, if that makes sense. But it's basically about this woman who is getting married, and she is the daughter of a serial killer who's been in jail for 20 years, and murders start happening that are like very similar to the ones that her dad committed, and so she's kind of like determined to figure it out because they all seem to kind of be like connected to her in some way. It was a page turner for sure, and I really enjoyed it. The ending, there were like 2 things that I wished happened that didn't happen that I think would have been really satisfying as a reader. That's okay. Like the main kind of like mystery of it all, it was cool. It was cool. I recommend it. These are good reviews. I'm just like, it was cool. It was cool. Oh yes, the next one is called The Woman in the Window by AJ Finn, who is a con artist himself. They also made this into a movie recently, and the movie's so bad. Like, please don't watch the movie. Like, even if you read this, don't watch the movie after. It's not worth it. But if you saw the movie, I'm so sorry, first of all, but you should also read the book because it's just so much better. I mean, it's a little over 400 pages, so it's a little thicker, but it goes by quickly. It's about this woman who is a recluse, and she's been living inside her New York City apartment for a very long time. Actually, not a very long time. I think like a year. Yeah, and she just spends her days drinking wine and spying on her neighbors, and one day she sees something that is alarming, and she has trouble convincing like police that it actually happened because she seems like she's crazy, so it's kind of like she's questioning, is she actually seeing things, or is she convincing herself that she's seeing things? And actually, I already forget the end of this. What happens at the end of it? It was a really good ending. Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, no, this is a great book. It's a page turner, and I really enjoyed it. You will too. I felt the first 100 pages or so were definitely slow, and I was like, I cannot do this for 400 pages, but it picks up, let me tell you. And I probably read it in like 4 or 5 days. It was great. It was great, and I loved it. Oh, I gave this one a 5 out of 5, so I really guess I did enjoy it. I read books so quickly sometimes I like forget what they're about, or like why I like them, or if I would still give them the same rating today. Does anyone else experience that? I don't know. Oh yes, the next one. Oh, I love this book. Local Woman Missing by Mary Kubica. Did I say I give it a 5 out of 5? Everything from this point forward is a 5 out of 5. 11 years ago, this girl, Delilah, went missing, and then she shows up in present day time. And her mom, it was this girl and her mom both vanished 11 years ago, and then in present day this girl shows up, and then another woman goes missing in the same kind of like area, I guess. And so it's just a mystery, like what happened to the mom, what happened to the girl that just went missing, and what happened to the girl that just returned home, and like how are they all connected. And there's other characters in the story that are very involved with all of these characters. I also called something in this one. It's so satisfying when like early on you're just like, haha, I see you, and you did something, and you did this. And I definitely called something early on. The first chapter of this is really intense, and I will say that the whole book is like not like that. Like, 'cause I remember reading the first chapter being like, oh my god, like is the whole book gonna be like this? And it wasn't, because I think that would have been like way too much to handle. It's like alternating perspectives between the mom, the girl's son that came back, their neighbor. 10 out of 10 or 5 out of 5, whatever. Really recommend this one. Oh my god. My next one, Things We Do in the Dark by Jennifer Hillier. 5 out of 5. So, I read this book in a day. It was absolutely outstanding. I feel like most of these books have like a twist at the end, and it's like, but this one had twists, like it had like 5 twists, and then the end was just like, wow! I was just on my toes the whole time, and there was so much that I did not call and I didn't see coming, and that's really satisfying for me because I feel like I usually can predict a lot of stuff that happens, which is also satisfying in another way. But I love getting a book that like I have no idea like where it's going and like what's happening, and things just kind of get thrown at me. If you're looking to just go on a wild ride and just gasp every like 20 pages, this is the book for you. I'm just gonna read the synopsis because I read this one a while ago. So, when Parrish Peralta is arrested in her own bathroom covered in blood, holding a straight razor, her celebrity husband dead in the bathtub behind her, she knows she'll be charged with his murder. But as bad as this looks, it's not what worries her the most. With the unwanted media attention now surrounding her, it's only a matter of time before someone from her long-hidden past recognizes her and destroys the new life she's worked so hard to build, along with any chance of a future. 25 years earlier, Ruby Reyes, once known as the Ice Queen, was convicted of a similar murder in a trial that riveted Canada in the early 90s. Reyes knows who Paris really is. And when she's unexpectedly released from prison, she threatens to expose all of Paris' secrets. Left with no other choice, Paris must finally confront the dark past she escaped once and for all. Because the only thing worse than a murder charge, or 2 murder charges. This one was just like, it's one of those books that like you think it starts off about one thing and it just ends about something totally different. I love when thrillers have like obviously like the thrilling aspect of it, but like there's just like a deeper story attached to it that is like very meaningful. It was, oh god, it was just so good. It was a book of the month pick that I was just kind of like, no one's talking about this, I've never heard of this book, I've never heard of this author. So I really had like no expectations, and it was just like one of my favorite books I've ever read. So very, very much recommend that. And then my last book, numero uno, I have not been counting as I've been going, but this is the 10th book. And that's The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. I think this is the first book that I really, it might have been like the 4th or 5th book I read once I started getting back into reading. It was the first book I read in a day and just like could not put down. And so maybe if I read it now after reading all of these, it wouldn't be like one on my list, but it just holds a special place in my heart because it was like really the first book that I was just like, oh my god. And like the twist at the end is just, it's so good. And I guess, yeah, I'll read what this is about as well because I read this a while ago too. Alicia Berenson's life is seemingly perfect. A famous painter married to an in-demand fashion photographer, she lives in a grand house with big windows overlooking a park in one of London's most desirable areas. One evening, her husband Gabriel returns home late from a fashion shoot, and Alicia shoots him 5 times in the face and then never speaks another word. Alicia's refusal to talk or give any kind of explanation turns a domestic tragedy into something far grander, a mystery that captures the public imagination and casts Alicia into notoriety. The price of her art skyrockets, and she, the silent patient, is hidden away. Are there sparkles on my computer? Oh my god, I thought I was having an ocular migraine for a second. Anyway, wow. Anyway, the price of her art skyrockets, and she, the silent patient, is hidden away from the tabloids in the spotlight at the Grove, a secure forensic unit in North London. Theo Faber is a criminal psychotherapist who has waited a long time for the opportunity to work with Alicia. His determination to get her to talk and unravel the mystery of why she shot her husband takes him down a twisting path into his own motivations, a search for the truth that threatens to consume him. No, I can't say that. I almost spoiled it. This also goes back and forth between 2 storylines. It goes from his kind of like relationship with his wife and then his relationship to his work and like trying to uncover what's going on with Alicia. I think this is on like the top of everyone's thriller list for a very good reason. My mom likes the Maidens better, but I just think this Silent Patient is like creme de la creme. So yeah, those are my 10 thriller books. Sorry, my camera just, or my memory card just ran out of space. I just love to read. Reading became so cool this year, didn't it? Yeah, comment below your favorites if they're on this list or if you have any other ones. These are literally like all of the thrillers I read this year, so I definitely have other ones that I want to read and have space to read. So, you know, give your recs below. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. I do have a Goodreads account that I am just consistently updating with books that I want to read and books that I've read and rating them and stuff, so please give me a follow on there. I love Goodreads, and if you really want to stay up to date with like what I'm reading, that's the place to do it. So yeah, thank you for watching. Bye. 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 Anyway, bye.